I don't want the microphone. Oh,
Thank you. Prepared. Hi, good morning, everybody. I'd also like to thank the sponsors for allowing me to come, Randy's, the Stark County, and OSHA. As Ken mentioned, Zach died December 28th, and so me as his mom, I obviously feel powerless and I have zero control. So what I did probably those first 90 days, like what did I do to comfort myself? Like people are like, are you drinking? Are you, what are you doing? And honestly, what brought me comfort was doing research. So in my job, I have to do a lot of research. I'm in the pharmaceutical industry. That I just read and read and read. And I've actually, how anal I am, I've actually gone online and done a competent person. I've been certified. Not that makes me competent, but I actually have been certified to be a competent person because I wanted to try to understand what happened to Zach that day. And so the other thing that bothered me is that when I read about all these trench fatalities and statistics, some of the fines are kind of ridiculous from OSHA for a death. They get negotiated down. I've seen them for a death, a company being fined like $5,000. I mean, just ridiculous. And it's not a criminal component to it. And it just kind of upset me. And I met with Ken. I went to his office and I was like, I don't want my son to be a statistic. I actually brought him in his office. Like we had like a video at Zach's funeral, like of his life, a loop, and I was like, I want you, all of you, to watch this. I want you to think of this as Zach, not a statistic that you're working on, not some nameless face. And so I said to him, I was like, look, I will speak. I would like to spread awareness. And he was kind of non-committal at first, but then he did allow that. And so we did it this spring, and Randy was actually there, and I don't remember him talking to me afterwards. It was kind of all blur, but so he asked me to give something similar to that. I read the eulogy. I gave the eulogy at Zach's funeral as well. So I thought I would this time kind of walk you through the day, and this is entirely from my perspective as his mom. I haven't seen the OSHA report, the final one, so this is kind of somewhat hearsay, but my perspective. So December 28th, it's after Christmas, and I had some things to return. My daughter wanted to go to the outlet mall. So I live in Mason near Cincinnati, so I met my daughter. She lives in Columbus, up at the outlet malls there halfway. We exchanged something. We had lunch at Chipotle, and then I'm driving home. It's probably like 1:45 around there, and a call comes in, and I don't recognize it. So I get tons of like telemarketers, so I ignored it. I didn't answer it, and then it came in again. I think I might have ignored it a second time, so I was like, and so the third time I was like, all right, something's going on. So I answer it, and it's this very formal gentleman saying, I need to speak to you. I came to your home. This is Detective such and such, I don't remember his name. Your garage door is open. Like the details that you remember, it's kind of funny, but so he's like, your garage door is open, we need to speak to you. And I'm like, well, my garage door is broken, I'm not home. What is this regarding? And he's like, I can't tell you over the phone. And so then, I'm a single mom too, and I'm like, well, why can't you tell me? I was like, what do you want? He's like, well, I need to speak to you, I need, when will you be home? I'd like to meet you. And I'm like, I'm not meeting you at my home. Like, it's just the whole thing. And so finally he convinces me that this is for real, because I just thought it was some, I didn't know. Because he refused to tell me. And so I met him at the Warren County Sheriff Department. So at that point, I'm starting to realize this is, more than likely bad. And so I walk in there, and it's two guys, and they're like, your son's been in an accident. And I'm like, well, what happened? And they're like, well, it's, and again, the details. He's like, well, he was working in a trench. He's like, and OSHA's there. And I was going to qualify this. I was kind of trying not to drop the F-bomb, but it's just who I am, so I'm going to. So I'm like, who the fuck cares if OSHA's there? I was like, why would that matter? I didn't even know who OSHA was at that point. And I was like, well, what's going on? And they're like, well, they're there, and he still wouldn't confirm anything. And then I'm like, well, is he dead? And he's like, ma'am, blah, blah, blah. I still would say nothing. I was like, well, what is the address? Where is it? And so he gave me the address, and I ran home, and the other weird details, December 28th is actually my mom's birthday, so it's her 70th birthday. And I ran, I got her on the way, called my daughter, called my ex-husband. We all go to the site in Morrow. So Zach he worked for an excavation company. He had been there about 7 years, and his primary job was digging basements. So he was familiar, with doing stuff, but he did trenches very occasionally. And this is my perspective and of hearing it, but he went there with a gentleman that has been in the industry for 20 years, but not necessarily doing the trenches day in, day out, but has experience. And Zach being 25, just a young kid who, he genuinely liked his job. He really did. And I think that he enjoyed, getting things done, and he took pride in that. So from what I've been told, what happened is that these two guys initially that do this, daily, they go out to this residential subdivision to tie off a sewer lateral. Again, these are all concepts. I had no idea what they meant when they told me, so I've had to research this. So what's interesting is this subdivision in Little Miami, Morrow area, used to be a ski resort. So that contributed to the problem. So they brought all this dirt in that's, so it's all sea, it's like soil sea, and it's they call it garbage dirt, because to make skiing in Cincinnati, which just kind of seems ridiculous. So that in itself helps contribute to the problem. It's not necessarily compacted native soil. The first guys, the guys that normally do it, they go there, they can't find it. They can't find the sewer top. So I've been told that it's supposed to be like flags out there, or it's marked on the curb, or you have a plot map. So they spent the whole day, they can't find it. So December 28th, they're behind schedule, and for whatever reason, they decide to send my son and a coworker. So they already know it's a complex job because they're two guys that normally do it, they can't find it. So they get there, and the part that kind of it gives the credence of what happened. So Zach being 25, and we actually make fun about it, and I write about it in my eulogy. He used to take Snapchat videos of, and that's in Snapchat, it takes the video and then it goes away. But he would take Snapchat videos of dirt or whatever, so I thought that was silly why he would do that. But so he takes a Snapchat video, minutes before he died, and he estimates from his perspective that the trench that they dug was 25 feet deep. So you can see it in the video. I talked to the guy that he was with to ask him what happened. So they go there and they dig, and basically what they did is the house was on a slope. They undercut the foundation. So now hindsight's 2020. It feels like it was going to happen, that they didn't even know any better. But Zach goes in there to tie off the sewer tap. One of the first issue was that the sewer tap's supposed to be 5 feet from the house per Warren County code. It's underneath the house. So that's the reason why, and because it's on a slope, that's why they had to dig so deep. So in the video, you can see the water starting to accumulate, and it's really cold that day. So you've got all these variables to make the earth unstable that I honestly don't think that they, were sophisticated enough in their training and education to recognize what all these warning signs were. So Zach's down there, and this guy, he says that Zach calls out, and he's like, "My leg's trapped." And I had his right leg, my leg's trapped. And I had no appreciation of how much dirt weighs. Think, all right, your leg's trapped, well, lift it out, get it out. And I had no idea, how many, of what these gentlemen were saying, how heavy it is. And that, and it's wet. And so he's got his leg trapped, and his coworker's panicking. What do I do? He jumps in the hole. They're both trying to dig him out, and neither one of them are wearing a hard hat. And you can see, in Zach's, when I saw his body, his knuckles were all bruised, you know, from trying to get the dirt out. But so they can't, and then the logic again. I feel compassion for him because I wouldn't want to have to live with that. But then they decide that he's going to get out of the trench and get on the backhoe and dig him out. So he's trying to dig a hole next to Zach, and Zach's crying out in pain, and he told him that he felt like his head was going to explode, you know, because the carbon dioxide, it's all starting to build, and so he's in pain, he's cognizant of what's happening to him, and then at some point, this gentleman calls the office, and then 911 and work was called, and then they all, you know, got there. And so I can't even imagine what my son was thinking, but he was cognizant. I mean, so how much time elapsed? I don't know. But so when we get there,